see there. There's been a bit of commotion outside the ANC headquarters. Of course, the BLF there, pro-Jacob Zuma supporters, people who want the president to step down. Let's cross straight there to Aldrin Sampear, who's been following developments. Aldrin, what can you tell us?
Well, yes, just a few minutes ago, actually, when we were setting up, getting ready for this crossing, a truck drove in. It was a truck carrying about 20 plus members of a BLF, as well as those who are saying that President Jacob Zuma, it must be hands off President Jacob Zuma, hashtag hands off President Jacob Zuma. The crowd that has been marching here outside Luthuli House, these are the guys that have been saying that they are here to protect Luthuli House. They immediately pounced, they immediately attacked, they started pelting stones, and the people who were on behind the truck then jumped out, and of course there was a scuffle. The police then quickly intervened, and this is the scene as it is at the moment. The truck at least managed to drive off, but I think it only drove off with the driver inside, and all its occupants, all the other occupants, the passengers, they jumped off and they fled into the streets here of the CBD. Look at these members of the ANC now running towards the other side of the CBD. It could be that they've spotted a few BLF members, as well as these 11 organizations that are saying hashtag hands off President Jacob Zuma. One has to say that these are people that are really, really brave, considering that you've had ANC members here outside Luthuli House who have made it clear that when the BLF and these 11 organizations made the announcement that they'll be marching to Luthuli House, that it was a declaration of war, and they will be met with weapons. They will be met with the vigor that we've seen being displayed here currently outside Luthuli House. And quite strangely, the other thing about this is that as this is happening at the moment, the president of the ANC is inside Luthuli House. Cyril Ramaphosa is inside Luthuli House. You understand that he's meeting the provincial leaders of the Northwest, as well as the Eastern Cape. Oscar Mabuyane has spotted him earlier on, as this is currently happening. And as we speak now, in the next 2 hours, the National Working Committee members will be meeting inside Luthuli House to discuss, of course, the outcome of yesterday's meeting between the top 6 of the ANC, as well as President Jacob Zuma.
So clashes, scuffles, has anybody been seriously wounded in anything that's gone down today?
It's a bit too early to say whether anyone has been seriously injured, considering the scrum that was here earlier on. We probably have to look through our footage again and see whether anyone was injured, but there was some blows that sparked, as well as missiles that were thrown as well at these members of BLF, the people who were on top of the truck. But one has to give it to the police. They were quick to intervene and make sure that there is no major incident, as well as the truck driver who managed to speed off.
Aldrin, we can see people behind you, but give us a sense of how tight security is, how many officers there are on the ground. Do you feel safe being in that area right now?
Well, just considering this morning when we were at Mary Fitzgerald Square, there were a lot of police officers, and they had the debriefing session there. I'm just going to step out of shot. Let me see where. Okay, just going to step out of shot quickly, just to give you a sense of the number of police officers that are here, and also taking into consideration that they are not only stationed at this particular area, but they're stationed quite strategically around Luthuli House and the various corners around Luthuli House, to ensure that there is no major incident. So police, of course, they as well, they've been kept on their toes by these protesters, as well as the BLF members. I have to say though, Francis, I didn't think that they would be brave enough to march to Luthuli House, considering what happened earlier on when a BLF member tried to walk past these ANC members heading to Gandhi Square, and he was nearly attacked, and there again the police stepped in. So the police are really being kept on their toes, but it seems that they are equal to the task.
And Finally, Aldrin, you gave us a little bit of insight. The National Working Committee will be meeting at 2 o'clock. Just tell us a bit more about what is expected to happen throughout the day at Luthuli House and how this all is linked to reports. The EFF leader Julius Malema saying that President Jacob Zuma has told the top six he's not going to step down voluntarily.
Well, this is what we've heard as well, that the president has outrightly refused to resign, and that's the debriefing session that the National Working Committee will be receiving now. Because remember that it was the National Working Committee that tasked the top six to meet with President Jacob Zuma after they were tasked by the NEC, and now a decision had been taken at the time that they must speak to President Jacob Zuma about quote-unquote what they call the smooth transition. And of course we know what the smooth transition is a code for asking the president to step down. So the National Working Committee will receive a debriefing session. They will receive information with regards to what transpired and what will happen now going forward. And I was speaking to one of our sources earlier on, and he did say that possibly what could happen is that the National Working Committee could decide on whether there should be a special NEC that sits. You'd remember that the members of the ANC, the national executive of the ANC, or most senior members of the ANC, will be in Cape Town, of course, ahead of the SONA address, ahead of the State of the Nation address, but also ahead of an ANC program celebrating the release or the anniversary of the release of Nelson Mandela from prison, which will be on the 11th. That's Sunday later this week, and that's the reason why you'll have so many ANC members being down in Cape Town, and that could be used as an opportunity to call a special NEC meeting.
All right, thank you very much, Aldrin Sampear. And remember that this is the week that the State of the Nation address is scheduled to be delivered by the President as well. And shortly we're expecting a announcement from the EFF. Their plans, they have said that they will not accept President Jacob Zuma speaking at what's dubbed SONA, and that's on Thursday. Also, President